This is Nick Fuentes. If you're unfamiliar, he's a neo-Nazi. I don't use that term lightly, by the by. I know a lot of people call people Nazis all willy-nilly. I'm not. He's a white supremacist, he's a neo-Nazi, and he had dinner with Donald Trump recently. I wanted to talk about who he is, give a little bit of background on him, and look at some more recent clips from the guy, because he has suddenly become very relevant. And apparently, he's helping Kanye West, or Ye, I guess is what he's now known as. He's helping him run his 2024 campaign. Oh boy, things are going nuts right now. So let's give this clip a watch. This one is from late February 2022. It's from Nick Fuentes' conference that he runs. He's the leader of something called AFPAC, America First Political Action Committee. It's kind of like a super PAC a little bit, and they write policy, and it's a think tank, and they give that policy to, like, Republican politicians and stuff. So he held a conference in 2022, February, and he had some pretty high-up, well-known people there. So listen to what he had to say here, late February 2022, at his political action conference. By the by, if you don't remember, this is immediately after the Ukraine war started. This is like a few days after Russia sent troops in to sabotage Ukrainian, power and Ukrainian whatever. They sent saboteurs in to mess with Ukraine. They sent paratroopers into their airbase to destroy stuff and all of that. And it was pretty obvious to everybody around at the time that Russia was the aggressor and the bad guy in the situation. It was obvious to everyone. There was no question. But we had this little subset of political actors in the U.S. saying things like Nick Fuentes is about to say here, days after.
That's what we call the secret ingredient. America and the world has forgotten about them, but not us. They say
You're talking about young white men and how important they are.
About America, they say, diversity is our strength,
That's true. Actually, that is very true. That's one of the reasons America is so strong, or has historically been so powerful, was because of diversity.
Diversity is our strength, And I look at China and I look at Russia. Can we give a round of applause for Russia? Yes.
They are cheering for Putin invading a sovereign country days afterward. How does he justify it to himself? How do these people justify it to themselves? This is nuts.
Absolutely.
Cheering for Putin. You have got to be kidding me, right?
But I take a look around the world. I look at Russia. I look at China. China, they're editing their babies to be smarter.
No, they are not. That's completely made up. Around that time, there was a news story about a doctor in China who went to jail in China. Like, China sent the guy to jail for, who knows how long, for a very long time, because he, I believe, tried to use CRISPR to change a baby's DNA, which is obviously deeply unethical. It's even deeply unethical by China's standards. And China has different standards for ethics than we do in the United States, especially the CCP. It's just we're all culturally different from each other, and we all have different ideas about different things. That's just how it is. They sent the dude to prison. For the record, that didn't actually work, apparently. Trying to edit the baby's DNA didn't do anything because we don't understand the technology well enough to even make it work in the first place, let alone make it do what we wanted it to do successfully. We will almost certainly, as a society, never be to the point where editing babies' DNA like that is acceptable. I hope we never get to that point. He seems to be, listing it as a good thing? I don't know. It's something to be proud of? What's going through the dude's head?
They're editing their babies to be smarter, stronger, faster. Russia, they're invading countries. They took out the whole Ukrainian...
The whole Ukrainian what? I don't think they took out the whole Ukrainian anything. I'm pretty confident Russia failed miserably. Good job on that one, by the way.
Countries, they took out the whole Ukrainian But I rest easy at night knowing that America has diversity.
You should. Half the that we use in the modern world today was invented right here in America. And what's more, half of that was invented by, you guessed it, immigrants. Other countries would be sitting in the dark without us, without America. Other countries would have no idea how space-time works or any number of other things that stemmed from the understanding of the theory of relativity. Seriously, you have no idea how much stuff stemmed from the knowledge imparted onto humanity by immigrants in the United States. Diversity is our strength. Unfortunately, Nick Fuentes doesn't see it that way. He, deeply to the bottom of his black little heart, wants a homogeneous state. He wants an all-white ethno-state. He is pretty open about that. He wants a white Christian nationalist country and wants to either force everybody to be a Christian or remove them by force, one or the other. He said as much, and we're going to listen to some of that in a minute. That's who this guy is. Remember, he had dinner with Donald Trump recently. He's working for Kanye West on his 2024 campaign. So, from my understanding, this is how the dinner came about. Kanye, I'm going to call him Kanye because that's what he's branded himself as for the past, how many years, like 20 years or something like that. Everybody knows him as Kanye. I understand he changed his name to Ye, but I don't know that that really changes his branding. And I don't think anybody's really thrown a fit about using his correct name. Like, if this is a fight that he really took on, then I would stand there next to him, But this is his brand. This is who he is. So anyway, ask Donald Trump if he could have dinner with him. So Donald Trump arranges it, and he goes to Donald Trump's Mar-A-Lago estate or whatever, goes down there with him. And along with Kanye comes Nick Fuentes. Now, Donald Trump said there's another political operative that was there with him, 3 people total, I think. And he said he knew the other political person from like a long time ago. I don't know who that was. I'm thinking maybe Milo Yiannopoulos. Milo was canceled by not just the left, but by the right also, because he expressed some questionable views about what should be legal regarding age of marriage and consent and things like that. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So Donald Trump has dinner with Nick Fuentes, Kanye West, and 1 or 2 other political operatives who are helping Kanye with his campaign. So Kanye shows up and tells Trump he intends to run for president in 2024. And Trump apparently loses his mind on Kanye. Does not like that idea at all. Starts yelling at him, starts talking shit about Kim Kardashian, Kanye's ex. Oh, man, apparently it got ugly. And, God, I just wish there were recordings of it because I would just eat that shit up. Anyway, sadly, we won't be able to experience the sheer joy of watching Trump completely destroy this anti-Semitic dude, right in front of his friends. But who knows? Maybe somebody was recording in the room. It'll surface later. Anyways, yeah, Trump just completely loses his mind on Kanye, but apparently was a big fan of Nick Fuentes. That's why we got to talk about Fuentes in the first place. So let's look at a few more interesting little clips from Fuentes. Just a few days before the meeting with Trump, Nick Fuentes actually watched Donald Trump announce on TV his 2024 run for president. Check out what Nick Fuentes' reaction was to this, November 16th, 2022.
That was horrible. That is one of the worst things I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm reevaluating my support for Trump 2024 after that.
Wow, Trump must have said something that really upset this guy, huh? You know what upset Nick Fuentes so much about Donald Trump's talk? The fact that he was too moderate. In Donald Trump's campaign announcement, he was trying to appeal to the middle ground, appeal to like independence and tell people he wanted to unite the country, as if Donald Trump would even be capable of uniting the country. Even if he had a complete personality change tomorrow, which absolutely no chance of that. Dude's 70-something years old. He's not changing. But even if he did, he couldn't reunite the country. He couldn't. Nobody in their right mind would ever think that Trump could be capable of something like that. But that's what Trump was trying to do, and that is what upset Nick Fuentes so much. He wanted Trump to absolutely lose his mind and start screaming about how black people, blah, 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 and how white people are superior and all that other stuff. That's what Nick Fuentes was hoping for.
That was bad. That was probably worst case scenario. Worse than I was anticipating. I wasn't sure because the last couple rallies were good. But this was awful. It's hard to imagine how it could have been worse from beginning to end in style and substance, the delivery, the content, the entire thing was an abject, absolute failure and a disaster and a total disappointment.
Yeah, so he's not happy that Trump is not going harder, not getting more extreme is the bottom line. Apparently, when he went to the dinner with Donald Trump, he told him that he loves it when he goes off script. And allegedly, according to reports, Trump looked to Kanye at that time and said, "I love this guy, he gets me." So look at a couple other clips from AFPAC. Check this one out. This is another reason why we need to talk about the guy. Again, this is his appearance at AFPAC. He's about to introduce somebody on stage.
We have a new mystery speaker tonight who I'll be announcing to you right now. Very exciting.
Please do.
She is a standard bearer of Trumpism in the U.S. Congress. She is pro-life. She is proudly America first. And I want to say a very special thank you to Milo Yiannopoulos for making this happen. He made this happen.
Again, I suspect Milo Yiannopoulos was the other actor there with Trump and Kanye and Fuentes because Yiannopoulos is helping Kanye run his campaign, apparently. It's kind of hard to piece all of this together for sure because there's a lot of there's a lot of secrecy surrounding it. But I think Kanye has announced that, he released a video with Yiannopoulos that he's running, and Yiannopoulos is going to help him with all of his stuff. Milo Yiannopoulos is also, if memory serves, an intern for Marjorie Taylor Greene, interestingly enough.
Put it together. Whoops. That's Milo over there. He's throwing some stuff around. But thanks to him, we are honored, we are humbled and excited to welcome to the stage right now for our first speech, and we love to get to know her much better. I think this is going to be the beginning of something great. The representative from Georgia, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Well, hello, canceled Americans.
God, they are so persecuted, right? My God, they're so mistreated. These extremists who scream about Jewish people controlling the world secretly behind the scenes. So mistreated, aren't they? These people drive me absolutely up a wall. Marjorie Taylor Greene went on to give a speech there. I have a couple of clips of her speech, but she basically just talks about how much Jesus is great and how she loves him and blah, 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 all that other stuff, And also, white pants are so tacky, dude. Who wears white pants, honestly? I'm sorry. I cannot with these white pants. Before we continue, I just wanted to mention something. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, you can support me in a few ways. First, there's Patreon. That's probably the best way. But if you want to get something back for your support, you can check out my Teespring. Or you can check out my Telltale Unfiltered channel. I go through long-form, unhinged sermons from all kinds of people, from Hank Kunneman to Greg Locke to Jehovah's Witnesses. So give it a look. Links are in the description. Okay, now back to the video. So yeah, that you needed another reason to not really be the biggest fan of Nick Fuentes and what he's doing. You needed another reason to not be a fan of Marjorie Taylor Greene or Donald Trump. These people are all working together. They all know each other. They're all playing off of each other's strengths and weaknesses and everything else. It's ugly. It's not good. You know who else was at AFPAC that weekend in February? Wendy Rogers, another congressman from Arizona. I think she's a state senator. Yeah, Arizona state senator is what she is. I'm not 100% sure if Paul Gosar was there or not at AFPAC that weekend in February, but he is another congressman from Arizona, and he's in this little group of people with Marjorie Taylor Greene, Wendy Rogers, and the others. So he's federal, though. So anyway, listen to what old Wendy Rogers here had to say about Nick Fuentes being so persecuted. Poor guy.
I truly respect Nick because he's the most persecuted man in America.
The most persecuted man in America, Nick Fuentes. Honestly, I'm surprised that he's even decided to work with these people. He's pretty open about the fact that he doesn't believe that women should be voting or be involved in the political process at all. I guess he's willing to work with anybody if it means they can get him further in his political ambitions or goals or whatever else.
He's been deplatformed everywhere, debanked, put on no-fly lists.
Well, try not being a terrorist, and those things won't happen to you. Nick Fuentes is absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, 100% a terrorist. I don't use that word lightly either.
And attacked for simply saying things the media and the far left don't like.
That women deserve to be burned at the stake? Not even joking about that one. I have a clip of it. We'll get there. That the military should be sent into, like, ghettos in the United States to just open up. Not joking about that one either. He said it. These are things the dude believes. I'm sorry, those are just things the left doesn't like. He didn't deserve to be canceled, right? He didn't deserve to be put on a no-fly list for his participation in January 6th. Absolutely. That checks out.
He had to create his own platform just to be able to speak.
He had to create his own platform just to be able to speak. Does she think that she is entitled to everybody else's platform? Are you kidding me?
Unbelievable. Standing up to the tyranny is our American way. It sets us apart from the losers who have given in to oppression around our world. We need more speech that people don't like. That's the point of the First Amendment.
No, it's not. The point of the First Amendment is to allow people to speak on a street corner without being jailed by the government. It's not to encourage people to say things that nobody likes hearing. That is not the point of the First Amendment. Actually, you know, the first sentence in the First Amendment is Congress shall make no law establishing religion or regulating it or whatever other thing. I don't even remember now. It's actually the separation of church and state. But it goes on to detail freedom of speech and all of that stuff. It does not imply at any point that people have like a moral obligation to say things that piss other people off. What kind of a fantasy land does this woman live in?
We are in this mess because we've watered down our speech. Did our founding fathers water down their speech?
It was a different time, and at that time, they had different beliefs. The founding fathers were not neo-Nazis. That's what this woman is. That's what Nick Fuentes is. That's what all of these people are at this conference. They're neo-Nazis. Again, I don't use that term lightly. I don't throw that word around for any old person. These people are full-blown. I mean, Nick Fuentes not only denies the Holocaust, but believes that it should have happened because, you know, the Jewish cabal controlling everything, pulling strings like puppet masters and all of that other stuff. Like, you don't even... some of the things that Nick Fuentes says and does and believes, I can't even say because it's so egregious. And the dude's having dinner with Donald Trump and hanging out with him.
Did Jesus or the apostles water down their speech?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Jesus 100% watered down his speech when speaking to Pharisees and other people who he knew were trying to put him in a trap or whatever. Oh, yeah, he did. He most definitely did. Just one simple example. People were trying to corner him and get him to admit that he believed that he was the Son of Man. So instead of coming out and saying that he was the Son of Man, he would kind of beat around the bush a little bit and ask leading questions to kind of bring him to the conclusion that he wanted them to come to. That Jesus and the apostles absolutely watered down their speech. If you don't think that, you haven't read the Bible.
Speech? No. Capitulation is why we are being overrun by the LGBTQ movement. It's why our border is being overrun by illegals. And it's why babies are dying in the womb.
Okay, just none of that. God, everything that she said is just ridiculous on so many levels. I don't even know where to go with that. So anyway, that's Wendy Rogers. She showed up at AFPAC too. If that doesn't draw a clear picture of the types of friends Nick Fuentes keeps and the types of ideas that he espouses, check this one out. Late June 2022.
If Ruth Bader Ginsburg, a Jewish woman, didn't die last year, so that Amy Coney Barrett, a Catholic woman, could be appointed to the bench, we would still have Roe versus Wade. Now you tell me that this is a Judeo-Christian country. Now you tell me that this is a Judeo-Christian movement. You tell me that it doesn't matter that you have a lot of these Jewish people in government.
See, this is what I find so fascinating about the guy and his thought process. What was the defining feature between Amy Coney Barrett and Ruth Bader Ginsburg? The defining feature was their political beliefs, not their religious beliefs. You have all kinds of Jewish people who disagree with abortion or pro-life or whatever. Look at Ben Shapiro. He is Jewish and also pro-life. Being Jewish and pro-life is kind of nonsensical, honestly, because the Old Testament or the Jewish holy books actually endorse abortion in certain situations. In fact, there's no scripture in the Bible that condemns abortion. I don't know how they've managed to turn this into a religious issue, but here we are. But what was the defining feature that he picked up on? It was their religion. He thinks just because one is Jewish rather than Christian, they shouldn't be involved in government, even though it was their political beliefs, not their religion, that led them to the conclusions that they were at eventually. Everything the guy says, does, and thinks about revolves around Jews. It all somehow routes back to Jews with him, even when it's completely unreasonable to reach those conclusions. He still gets himself there somehow.
Doesn't matter that you have a lot of these Jewish people in government. Tell me that it doesn't matter after a decision like this. Tell me that with a straight face, that it doesn't matter that we had a court that had 4 Jewish people on it, and we had subtract 1 Jewish woman and increase 1 Catholic woman, and now Roe versus Wade is overturned, and 100 million Americans will live in states with no abortion because of that change, because we had a Jewish woman, and now we have a Catholic woman. Tell me religion doesn't matter. Tell me that this dispute between Judeo and Christian doesn't matter. It absolutely matters. It makes all the difference.
You know, this is like him saying, we started with, I don't know, 3 or 4 people with brown hair, and then 1 brown-haired person went away, and now we have a blonde-haired person. Tell me hair color doesn't matter. It is the exact same thing. Seriously. 1 was Jewish, 1 was Catholic. Their religious beliefs had absolutely nothing to do with their decisions. Nothing. But he wants to draw the line at religion. He wants people to believe that religion is what it all boils down to, because he wants you to fear the Jewish community the same way that he does.
This is why it's Christian nationalism. We need a government of Christians. We need a conservative movement, a nationalist movement led by Christians that obey the Bible and obey God and serve Jesus Christ.
Only problem is that the political beliefs that Nick Fuentes and others espouse in the name of religion are not actually based in religion. Like I said, the Old Testament and the New Testament, the Bible, endorses abortion. It does not at any point condemn it. It is pretty explicit. If you think your wife cheated on you, take her to the priest. He will provide an abortion concoction, and that will induce an abortion if she did indeed cheat. That is just one example. Numbers 5:11, I think. One example of the Bible explicitly endorsing it and describing the process to go about having an abortion. The beliefs that they hold are not based in religion at all. It's an entirely new belief system. It's not really built on Christianity anymore. It is built on like republicanism or Trumpism. And that is what they're trying to force people into at gunpoint. Nick Fuentes, at the very least. That's what he wants to do. He has said as much explicitly and openly.
Christ. Tell me why we need people in government that don't serve Jesus Christ. Is that the argument? Well, here, Nick, here's why we need Jewish people in government that don't serve Jesus. Sorry, you're never going to win that argument. You're never going to convince me that we need people in government that don't serve Jesus Christ, the Son of God. You'll never convince me of that.
I mean, people are welcome to be Christians if they so please, but trying to force everybody else out of government and replace them with Christian extremists, not just Christians, but Nick's very specific brand of Christian extremism, replace everybody in government with them, that's a totally different conversation.
Insofar as there's one God, and he has one Son, and there is one way to salvation and one way to the truth, then that's the way that the people running our society and writing the laws need to be, and no other way.
Okay, fantastic. When you prove that to me, then we can talk. Although the Constitution is pretty clear, you'd have to abolish the Constitution entirely, or reinterpret it in such a way that it's rendered completely meaningless. You would have to strip the meaning and intent away from it that the Founding Fathers put in the first place. The Founding Fathers specifically wanted a secular government. That's why all that stuff is in there in the first place about separation of church and state. It's the first sentence in the First Amendment of the Constitution. But that just, flies right past his head, of course. So that's Nick Fuentes. Dude was having dinner with Donald Trump. Absolutely fantastic. But I'm not too bent out of shape about it. It seems to me that Donald Trump is out of favor in the Republican Party at this point. People don't want him. They want nothing to do with him. He's a far-right extremist. And independents are disgusted by Donald Trump at this point. I think that's been made pretty clear over the past couple of elections. Donald Trump, in my opinion, has no shot at winning the presidency again. And everybody knows that, including Fox News and the other media organizations that are involved in promoting new presidents. And I think Donald Trump knows that too. And I think Trump's plan is to rip the Republican Party in two if he doesn't get his way. And God, I hope it happens. I may eat my words in a couple of years when the presidential election rolls around. We'll see. But, yeah, it's going to be an interesting ride either way. Let me know what you think in the comments. Oh, and by the way, I'm not promoting my Twitter anymore. I'm done using Twitter for fun. I'll be posting on my community tab on my main channel if you want to hear the stupid things I think about every day. So don't bother following me on Twitter, but you can check out my comments or my community posts. Let me know what you think.